A reading from the book of Sirach. If you choose, you can keep the commandments. They will save you. If you trust in God, you too shall live. He has set before you fire and water. To whichever you choose, stretch out your hand. Before man are life and death, good and evil. Whichever he chooses shall be given to him. Immense is the wisdom of the Lord. He is mighty in power and all-seeing. The eyes of God are on those who fear him. And he understands man's every deed. No one does he command to act unjustly. To none does he give license to sin. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
So my junior year of college, our baseball team ended up blowing a 5-run lead in the 8th inning in the game to go to the national championship, which was incredibly heartbreaking. We were so close, but didn't quite make it there. And one of the things that ended up doing, while it was heartbreaking, is it really showed us the potential that we had. That year, at the beginning of the year, we didn't think we were going to make it that far. We knew we had a good team, but we didn't think we quite had that potential. And getting to that point really showed us that no, we do have this potential. We had that potential to compete on the national level. And it also did one more thing where it really lit a fire inside of us. It changed our mindset. To where my senior year, we came back in the fall ready for practice. We all got together and we said, this year we're going to win the national championship. And we took that goal and we let that goal form and order everything that we did throughout the year. We let it impact us, and we took that goal and really allowed it to help us to come to practice and to the weight room and to do whatever we did on purpose. It also allowed us, having this goal, allowed us to see that goal as more important than our ego in the moment. So anytime we'd make a mistake or an error or popping up balls or something like that, we would actually just take a step back and look at, okay, what am I doing wrong? What is this mistake that I'm making? And then what is the right action? What is the correct thing to be doing? And then we'd train that. We'd practice it over and over until it just became ingrained. And with this mindset, with this way of coming to practice every day, we really just chose. We chose to do it. We chose to show up on purpose. And that doesn't mean that we didn't have any fun, because we had a lot of fun that year. It also doesn't mean that we didn't have bad days, because you always have bad days. But then we chose to show up on purpose again the next day. Our reading here today from Sirach talks about choice. How we have a choice in what we do in our lives. Before us are good and evil, fire and water, life and death. Sirach tells us, to whichever you choose, stretch out your hand. Sirach is highlighting that we have free will. That we have an ability to impact the things, to decide the things that we do. To choose what we're going to do with our life and our actions. And I think sometimes this choice, so we can choose then to order our lives to something great. Where it's easy to see this like in something like baseball, where we said we want to win the national championship. We ordered everything to that. But do we live our everyday life on purpose? Do we have a goal that we are striving for? Do we have that great goal, which in our life is a deep relationship with Christ? A relationship with Christ and the church, to love God, to love neighbor. Like that is the ultimate goal in our lives. that ultimate purpose? And do we see that and believe that is our ultimate purpose, that it will lead us to true happiness? And then in our everyday lives, order all of our actions to that. Because when we start doing this, when we start to live our life on purpose, it can change the way that we see things. If everything is ordered to this ultimate goal, then that ultimate goal ends up becoming more important than my ego in the moment. So when I make a mistake, when I do something, when I fail in charity, I can actually step back and say, okay, what did I do wrong? What was guiding that action? Was it maybe a fear of something? Was it a desire to be seen? What is actually underlying my mistake, my action that wasn't leading in the right direction? And then I can look at what would the correct action be? What would the loving action be in that situation? And then strive to train that and to do that over and over and ingrain that in myself and in ourselves. And as we do this, if you're anything like me, you start to see all of your mistakes and you're like, holy cow, there's a lot of them. And I don't know if I can, this might be impossible. I don't know if I have the potential. But the truth is we do have the potential. Because the potential is right here. Is Jesus Christ. Christ who came down and who showed us what it looks like to live on purpose. To order everything to that ultimate goal. And then Christ who died, who rose from the dead, who ascended, and then sent us the Holy Spirit. Sent us the Holy Spirit to guide us, to help us. The Holy Spirit, the Father, the Son, all coming to dwell in us, which is incredible. And not only just to dwell in us, but to help us to make the right decisions, to help us to choose the good. Sirach in here doesn't really talk about Christ helping us to choose the good because Sirach was before Christ. Sirach was before we knew about this indwelling of the Trinity that dwells in us. But God, instead of just having good and evil in front of us, in a way God says, here's good and evil, choose good. And our job is to go along with it, is to choose what God is choosing for us as well. And we grow in this ability to cooperate with God, but we still need to choose. We still need to make that choice. And when we truly live our lives on purpose, then we also discern on purpose. And the key question, because if we're shooting for this ultimate goal, this deep relationship with Christ, with the church, then the ultimate question for us in discernment is, how is God calling me to live out that ultimate relationship? The relationship with Christ and his church. How is he calling me to do that? To love God and to love neighbor in the best way possible. And then we can also kind of step back and put that good in front of our own ego and say, if I felt God was calling me to be a Dominican today, could I say yes? Or is there something holding me back? Do I have a fear? Or maybe it's a kind of a feeling of unworthiness or something else. Is there something that's holding me back from being able to say yes, to truly pursue what God is guiding us to this ultimate relationship with him and ultimate happiness? And as we really live our lives on purpose, then we begin to grow in that ability to hear the Lord, to hear what he's guiding us to. And it also gives us a much greater freedom to be able to say yes and to be able to choose that, to choose the good, which ultimately will bring us to that deep happiness that we so desire. So live on purpose.
Dear Almighty